Hello, everyone, and welcome. I am Mitch Bowles. Welcome to the channel where we break down the best and the worst of some new games with real gameplay. Today, we're going to dive into Wuchang Fallen Feathers to look at the 6 hardest bosses 10 hours into the game. Some of these bosses, you guys, made me want to throw my PlayStation against the wall. So let's get right into the struggle. But first, we're going to start off with some criteria. So I made this list based on how many tries it took me to beat each boss, how hard a punch they packed, how difficult their run backs were if they had a long run back, and how difficult their move pattern was to learn. So we'll get right into the rankings, starting at number 6, the Tang Palace Maid, the second one. You do fight a Tang Palace Maid at the very beginning of the game, but there is a second one later on in the game that is much more difficult. The Tang Palace Maid wields a double-sided spear, which she uses for some great sweeping strikes, just like her original counterpart. She is very patient, and she'll wait to attack until you get close or you start your attack. So if you're sitting there waiting for her to attack, that's not going to happen. As soon as you try to attack, she's going to try and counter. Also, if you try to use your health flask, once you start that animation, she'll start attacking as well. She's at the bottom of the list, though, for a few different reasons. First, she is easily knocked out of her attacks or her stance when hit with charged heavy attacks. So you can inflict a ton of damage here, when she's vulnerable. If you land a heavy attack, she'll stop attacking or she's going to fall over, which again is going to leave her wide open to some massive amounts of damage at one time. She does make for a fun and easy boss, but she feels too similar to the first Tang Palace Maid. I beat her first try, and for all of these reasons, the Tang Palace Maid, the second version, comes in as the easiest boss in this list at number 6. Now, number 5 is Master Raider, the man-eating Dutanga. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly, but he comes in at number 5. He is the first real boss of Wuchang Fallen Feathers, where there's a cutscene, there is a big boss arena, you see him waiting there, and he is much harder than a Tang Palace Maid. This is probably the biggest jump from one boss in this list to the next, is 6 to 5 with the Master Raider. He has some big sweeping strikes, some jump attacks, some area of effect attacks, including a ground smash, and a fire attack, and he deals overall more damage than the Tang Palace Maid. He has a second phase that includes some faster combos, some more fire attacks, and one fire attack in particular that will absolutely melt your health bar. It's pretty much a one shot at this stage in the game, with it being so early, you don't have much health, and at this point in the game, it is difficult because you're still getting used to the combat. This is the first real boss, so you're not sure how bosses in this game fight and react, so that's what makes this a little difficult. What holds him back from being higher on this list is his overall health, and like the Tang Palace Maid, he is easily knocked off his stance. With the right moves and discipline skills, he can lose health very quickly. You can throw him off his stance, and with some very nicely timed charge attacks, you will absolutely melt his health bar, and he is, vulnerable at times for some wide open attacks. It took me about 5 tries to beat him. Again, just had a little bit of a learning curve with him being the first boss, but with all of these reasons considered, the Master Raider comes in at number 6. Or I'm sorry, at number 5. Now, coming in at number 4 is the Reborn Tyrant, Soulwood. So the Reborn Tyrant, he is located in the Corpse Pit, which is at the end of Doom Willow Beach. The name of the game for him is he's a massive demon-infested tree with spells. So this is going to be a long-range fight. You're not going to be able to get close and personal because he's sitting in a pool of corruption, and so you can't go and hit him. If you go and try and hit him, you'll just be built up with corruption, and you'll die super quickly. So this is a difficult fight because you have to really know how to use spells, and at this point in the game, you don't have many powerful spells at all. You also have some trees that look like they should be in Harry Potter with the Whomping Willow trying to attack you. You have Reborn Tyrant sending spells at you, and there's also skeletons that crawl on the ground to lock you in place. He has some very hard hitting attacks, but Once you kind of learn his moves and you learn how to dodge, you do get a lot of Skyborn might, so you can just send a bunch of spells at him. But he has a massive health bar, and with the spells that you have at this point in the game, which is still pretty early, it does take a lot to bring him down. He would be lower on this list, but if you, so be higher in this list, but when you die, the run back is brutal. It is long, it's difficult. You're gonna get lost a few times, you're gonna die a few times for sure. It took me about 9 tries to beat him, and because of all these reasons, he comes in at number 4. Now, coming in at number 3 is Blight Weaver, the Great Centipede. Now, he is found in the deepest depths of the Bandit Cave. It is a pain in the butt to get to him with all the different enemies in your way, but once you reach the boss arena, you are gifted a shrine, which is very nice because there's no run back. You can just keep on fighting them until you beat them. You don't have to take down any enemies in your way, which makes it a little easier than the Reborn Tyrant because of how brutal that run back is. Now, the biggest challenge while facing the Blight Weaver is his variety of attacks. He can cover long distances in a short amount of time. He'll punish you with fast and brutal attacks if you don't dodge. He can inflict status effect with burn and corruption. And he uses his piercers. He uses a bunch of magic to shoot what feels like a million blue beams at you. And it's very difficult to dodge. He just has a large variety of moves that make it difficult to really deal with him. All these attacks feel random, and they make it hard to kind of get in a groove when fighting them. It's not like you kind of learn the move set and you just gotta stay disciplined. All of his moves just feel completely random. One thing holding this boss fight back from being higher and more difficult on this list is that the environment really helps you. There's these large, what look like to be, electric pillars that if you stand behind and you kind of bait him to hit these pillars, he does get stunned for a large amount of time, which again leaves him wide open to a flurry of attacks that can really melt his health bar. It took me about 12 tries to beat him, and with all of these reasons considered, the Blight Weaver comes in at number 3. Now, coming in at number 2 is the Gluttonous Monstrosity Lu Hungliu. Now, this was the first boss in the game where I considered if I was even cut out for this game at all. So far, every boss I've covered has a pretty massive weakness, or, they open up to large attacks, so they have a weak stance, or they don't pack a big punch. But that trend ends here. The Gluttonous Monstrosity brings everything she has at you right from the jump. She covers ground fast. She has delayed strikes that are mixed in with some fast strikes to throw you off your dodge timing. She has a long range attack where she spits blood at you. That's kind of the icing on the cake. She has a massive health bar. There is no real weakness except for maybe the fact her second phase is probably easier than her first phase because it's a lot more long distance attacks, and so if you dodge it correctly, you can and go inflict some damage, but she leaves very small windows of opportunity to punish, making this fight a very long one. It's kind of you go in and poke, then you get out, go in and poke and get out. The only positive of this fight is that it's right next to a shrine, and the rewards you get for beating the Gluttonous Monstrosity are very good. I would make sure you know what weapon you like and that you have it down to a science before taking her on, because it's going to have you rethinking if you're picking the right build. She took 22 tries for me to beat her, and for all of these reasons considered, the Gluttonous Monstrosity comes in at number 2, which leaves number 1, Commander Honglin. She is last, but certainly not least. So think of everything I just mentioned about the gluttonous monster and double that. Commander Honglin is everything you expect from a modern-day Souls-like boss fight. She has a massive health bar, a variety of different combos she uses at different times. She hits like a Mack truck. If you try and heal, she'll lunge a football's field like that yet to punish you. She does not leave any windows of opportunity to inflict massive amounts of damage. She has good stance as well, so even though she is a human and is smaller than all these other bosses, she's very hard to hit off her feet. In my opinion, it is not worth trying to even use a heavy axe against her because the swings are too slow. I actually main an axe. That's the weapon I use by far the most, but I could not use that against her. I had to use the two-hand sword. This boss fight is so much fun, but will also have you begging for mercy. The arena is awesome. The cutscene leading up to the fight is awesome. The music, the art style, it is all beautiful. This feels like the end of a chapter boss that combines everything the previous 5 bosses brought to the table. It's kind of the final, learning curve or skill check before going to the next area. You have to make sure you explore the palace everywhere to unlock this boss. Sometimes you can get lost and it gets somewhat difficult to unlock this boss, but just make sure you explore the palace area and you'll unlock her. After defeating her, I honestly felt like a new person. Now have the confidence I can continue to play this game. And for the 30-ish, I lost count, tries it took to beat her, I felt so much joy in the one attempt that finally brought her down. So all of these things considered, Commander Hoglin takes the #1 spot as the most difficult boss 10 hours into Wuchang Fallen Feathers. Now, I did want to mention 2 honorable mentions that I should talk about. One being the Feathered Priest. Just a little bit too easy to put on this list, but he was a little challenging. And then also the very, very first boss you fight in the game, by crew. You only have one attempt at defeating by crew, and it's like the second scene of the game, which makes it super difficult, and so you really don't have a chance. If you beat by crew, I am very impressed, but it's the very first boss. You only have one chance to defeat it. Now, those were the 6 hardest bosses so far in Wuchang Fallen Feathers, but I want to hear from you guys. Is there a boss I missed? Is there a boss I had an easier time with than you? Or am I missing a boss so far? Did I miss a side boss maybe? I think I got all of them, but let me know in the comment sections what bosses I missed or what bosses you had the hardest time with. And if you like real gameplay and honest takes, hit that subscribe button. It really helps. And look out for my Wuchang Fallen Feathers review that is coming out on Thursday. Thanks for watching, everybody. This is Mitchables, and have a great day.